Today, we're going to go over how to make your universe mode a million times better with player versus AI sliders. If you just want AI versus AI sliders, check the link in my description. Great video there for you. Make sure to like and subscribe and check out all my other universe mode content. Alright, so first thing we're actually going to do is we're going to go to the back end for advanced settings in the minigame settings. So what I'm actually going to do for this one is copy what I have for the AI, which for the finisher for the player is 35 for the recent, which is the first finisher you get hit with, 50 for the second finisher you get hit with, and then 70 for the final one you get hit with. And then going over now to recent signatures, we want to do the first one 10, as you don't really lose off of signatures. It's pretty rare. 20 for the second one. It really only happens in some cases, like for example, Sami Zayn, the Blue Thunder Bomb. That's like one of the rare examples. You're not going to lose off a 5-knuckle shuffle. So we want to really drop these down, and we want to balance by matching the CPU. And then for the timed pin minigame, this one's a little complicated because it depends also what your minigame is. If you do the spam button press, then this is irrelevant for you. If you do the timed one like me, it's really tough because we're all different skill levels. We all have different strategies for timing it correctly. For the moderate, I actually like to increase it to about 62. You know, moderate's still very easy, and 62 is not going to make you like lose the match. For the difficult one, we're going to leave that at 50 though, just because difficult is pretty difficult. Maybe I'm wrong. For the moderate kickout zone, we're going to leave this at 50, even though we increased the indicator speed at 62. Just to make it marginally tougher, not anything crazy. And the rest of these I'm actually going to leave at 50, as I think it's overall pretty solid. Submission mini games, I just leave it as is. I think it's actually pretty well balanced. Special guest referee. So I have my settings set up for basically you can never get kicked out of the match for refereeing it bad. So you want to do 100, 0, 100, 0, and then 60. And that will be the perfect settings to not get kicked out of a special guest referee match. You know that. Now let's go back to the beginning and start from the gameplay settings. For realistic sliders, you need to have the difficulty on legend. If it's anything lower, it makes the ratings matter a lot less and makes like 60, 70 overalls on the same level of 90 overalls. So legend is the go-to. For weight detection, I just use simulation. Stamina mode, I just use normal. I think it's more realistic. Submission minigame, that's really up to you. That's more not AI versus AI, so don't really have to worry about it. Pin minigame, I go timed as well. Leave this off. Trading blows, obviously. A lot of talk about this. It works a lot better, and also my settings make it a lot more realistic, so you can keep it on. Chain wrestling, keep it on. It's very realistic for WWE matches. Keep this off. Rope break automatic, big one. Keep it off. It's so annoying if a finisher happens near the ropes and it has an automatic finish, because this isn't, when you have this setting off, it doesn't make it so rope breaks don't happen. It just makes it so they only happen when the wrestler puts their hand or grabs the rope, foot on the rope, that kind of thing. So rope breaks still occasionally do happen, but not at the insane rate if this automatic setting is left on. Auto reversals for ground attacks, keep that off. It is ridiculous when it's on. Because if you just do like 2 moves in a row, they'll reverse the second one, and it's terrible. Then for entrance run-ins, mid-match runs, and post-match run-ins, this is a personal preference. Entrance run-ins, they really don't happen too often, and you're going to use this for universe mode. There's already the rivalry action, so I keep it off. Mid-match run-ins, some people like it, some people don't. I personally hate it, so I keep it off. Post-match run-ins is more what I like, especially in just play now matches and not universe mode stuff. Then for blood, this is also a personal preference. It really matters for what you want. For me personally, I don't like blood during like weekly show matches. I'm doing universe mode. If I'm playing with friends, I'll keep it on. The only time I have it on for universe mode is in certain occasions, specifically like street fights, extreme rules matches, Hell in a Cell, last man standing, those kinds of things. Keep it on because obviously weapons will be involved, sheer shots to the head, those kinds of things. So keep blood on for that. I also, maybe depending on certain PLE matches that are just normal singles matches, I'll keep it on. Like if Drew McIntyre's in a match, CM Punk's in a match, Randy Orton's in a match, those kinds of things, I'll keep it on just because they seem to really be in blood matches a lot, and they're more physical and dominant. So it makes sense if they're really targeting like the head, you'll see some blood. So it's really up to your discretion of when you want to use it or not. So for the most part, it's off, but in certain situations, I'll go ahead and keep it on. Subtitles, once again, personal preference. I hate subtitles. not a subtitles guy, so I keep it off. Tutorial tips, keep it off. Instant recovery, this really pisses me off, so I keep it off. It's just the worst after a finisher or a signature when it gets turned on and they just jump up off their feet or onto their feet. So I keep it off just for realism's sake. Possum attacks, those happen in real life, keep it on. Possum pin happens in real life, keep it on. And ring escape. This one also maybe a little personal preference. I keep it on, and then you'll see there's a couple more sliders for it later down the line. So I keep it on just for that reason, but I'll take a look in a couple minutes at the sliders for this specific setting. Now going over to presentation. So the gameplay camera, this one is really, once again, up to you and what you like. I personally keep it standard just as the realistic WWE TV camera. Ramp facing, I only switch it up for the Royal Rumble, obviously, because then you get to see who's coming out. And that makes the Royal Rumble a lot more fun. A lot of people like it for normal gameplay, same third person, but me, personally, I just go standard, just for that realism's sake. Not a lot I changed here up until Superstar HUD. I like it off. It's nice to be able to see how close you are to building up a finisher if you're playing the game, or if you're watching one, but just for realism's sake, it also keeps it fun not knowing when a finisher can come. Then match rating HUD, I honestly keep this off. I don't mind it on just because you could see the star ratings, that's kind of fun, but star rating really only impacted more the longer the matches go on, so it's not really a good metric, but if you like it, keep it on. I personally don't. Reversal prompt, I keep it on just when I'm playing matches, not doing AI versus AI, but you can keep it off if you want. Display referee counts, this one really is mostly if you have the game sound on or not. Sometimes I'm watching it with like YouTube on in the background, so I'm not hearing the ref. So I like being able to see it displayed. So that's why I keep it on. Once again, though, that's a personal preference if you're listening to audio or not. Run-in breakout HUD, I usually leave this off. I just don't like a lot of the HUD stuff. When I'm watching like AI versus AI universe mode stuff, I really just want to focus on the realism aspects and not have all these HUDs just taking up the screen, you know? Post-match replay, I recently turned it on, but I'm actually going to go ahead and turn it off. It would be nice if it was just like 3 to 4 highlights of like finishers and such, but it's like most of it is like drawn out random moves and it's like 2 or 3 minutes long. It's just not good. So I'd turn it off now. Camera shakes off. Hate the camera shakes. Really annoying. Camera cuts, I love these on, honestly. The camera cuts sometimes get a little weird, but just staring at like the same like screen, not changing at all, kind of gets boring after a while, so I like to keep it on. Then specifically for your big moments, I like when it happens frequently, so I set it to that. And for pins and submissions, I do often. It could be a little weird sometimes. Sometimes it'll cut to like where it's just showing the ref and not the pin. Understandably, I understand why you would not like that, but I just like the camera cuts for that. For dive attacks, I have it frequently. Once again, there's sliders for dive attacks specifically because they used to happen a lot. They don't happen too much with my sliders, which you'll see in a couple minutes, but for this purpose, I have it on frequently just so it's a better angle when watching. And for taunts, I like it sometimes. If it happens every time, it's a little weird, and the back and forth is kind of annoying. But I like it on sometimes because occasionally someone will taunt, and the superstar will get up quickly, and it'll have a cool little angle of them being attacked mid-taunt. I think it's fun. Camera panning, I keep it on. This one can be weird though at times too. When you're outside the ring, it'll pan differently, and sometimes you get some weird angles, so I understand why you would not want it on. But for me personally, I just keep it on. Ringside camera cuts. Once again, when you have this on with camera panning on, it gets really weird, so I keep it off. I'll suggest if you're you can keep them both off to make it maybe more, after having those less weird camera cuts, but if you're gonna have camera panning on, I would keep ringside camera cuts off, just so it doesn't get too funky when you're outside the ring. Super finisher, VFX, I hate this personally, don't like it, turn it off. Vibration, also hate vibration, I turn that off. The trigger effect, I'll keep it on, it's not really that important, but I just keep it on. Spectate control display, I keep this off personally. If you keep it on, then you'll get the weird thing on the watermark thing on the entrance, and I hate that, so personally, I keep it off. Watermark image, Base game, I hate it and I would turn it off, but I've since downloaded like the Netflix logo and the USA logo for SmackDown, and I implemented those into my universe mode. So for that reason, I keep it on. Reversal feedback, I keep it off. I don't care if I'm late or early, to be honest. Awesome pin prompt, I keep it on just so I know. Same with attacks and instant recovery, even though I have that off. And ring escape, I keep that on as well. Now for the balancing sliders, to start this off, AI standing strike, I keep it at 50, but standing grapple is where I turn it down a little bit. It just seems to happen a little too much, so I put it at 40. For ground strikes, this also is a little high, so I put it down to 35. You might be able to drop down to 30 to make it a little more realistic, but just for balance, I keep it at 35. And that same goes for grapple reversal rates. That's also down to 35. The AI finisher reversal rate, this one's a little interesting. I don't love having too many finisher reversals. It is great when you're in a big hyped up match where you have reversal finishers towards the end of the match so you don't know who wins. I see people pump it up to 70. I have some people that really pump it down to 30. I think 50 is a happy medium. You will definitely see at least one finisher reversal per match. A lot of matches I do have even 2 or 3 with 50 on. So personally, I just leave it the base game at 50. I think it's fun and allows for some cool moments at the end of matches with the reversals, but not too many. Now for the object weapon reversal rate, I pumped this down to 30. I hate in real life how we see barely any reversals, but then in-game at 50, it's just way too many reversals for attacks. Like, if you want to have crazy matches with back and forth of trading chair shots, then sure, but I mean, like, in real life, if you're getting hit with a chair, you're going to get hit like 3 or 4 times in a row without a reversal. 30 may be even too high too, to be honest, but I don't want to make it so there's no reversals at all, because when you get below 30, it gets really touchy between do reversals happen or do they become non-existent. So 30 is kind of the best I feel like you can really have it to make it realistic. Then for the next couple, we have 50, leaving it there. The AI combo rate is when we change some stuff up again. Combos just don't really happen too much in the base game. I like to bump it up to 65, as it feels like if you don't have the combo rate bumped up, there's too many one-off punches and things don't flow maybe as well on standing strikes specifically, so I put it up to 65. Submission rate, I bumped that up to 60. There's not a ton of submissions that happen in game, and I feel like in today's WWE, not a ton of wrestlers even do submissions anymore. Not a lot of them have them in their arsenal, compared to like maybe 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But I still want to see it a little bit more, so bump it up to 60. We talked a little bit about diving earlier. Dives happen a little too much on the base game. I bump it down to 40. Seems pretty good. You can even probably bump it down to 35. But the bigger one I'll talk about though is the springboard rate. So bump it down to 30. Base game, day 1 drop. When the game came out, it was insanely high. I believe they lowered it in one of the early patches, but it's still too much, so I bump it down to 30. And now for AI grapple rate, I bumped this one up. We're putting it at 60. There's just a little, not enough of grappling that happens to my liking. And then strike rate, also going to bump that up to 55. And then limb targeting, I also bump up to 55. I see a slight difference here. I like when superstars attack certain limbs more often. I think it's a little bit more strategy, but when you put it past 55, it doesn't really work as much. So 55 is kind of like the best spot that I've found. AI running attacks, I bump it down to 40. They just happen a lot, to be honest. A little too much base game, so I bump it down to 40. Dodge rate, I hate the dodging. It's so unrealistic, just does not happen. Bump it to 30, makes it a lot better. Then trading blows also down to 30. Between them, 2K toning it down in their patches, putting it to 30 makes it not happen very often at all. There'll be many matches where you don't see it happen. So when it does happen, it feels unique to the match and not like every match on your universe card. Then for entrance runs, I don't like them, I turn it down to 0. Same with mid-match, put it at 0. Post-match run, I don't like it happening a lot, but I do want it to happen sometimes, so I put it at 1. Okay, referee downtime. When refs get bumped in WWE, they get knocked down for a while, so I put this all the way up to 80, personally. It gives you a good opportunity to take advantage of them being down for a little bit. Superstar downtime, leave it at 50. Same for reversal windows. We go all the way down to signature and finisher reversals. I left the other reversal setting at 50, but this one I'm going to turn it up to 60 because this really allows for you to go from like maybe one finisher reversal a match to like 2, maybe 3 occasionally. So you have some chaotic endings. Then we want to go to stamina recovery rate. I personally bumped this one all the way up to 70, as I feel like if you're recovering faster, it allows for longer matches. Because my one gripe is too many matches a base game would go under 8 minutes. And if I'm doing like a PLE match, I want like a long 10 to 15 minute match sometimes, not these like 6-minute quick matches. So if they recover stamina quicker, it'll allow them to recover quicker. Rollout frequency, I can bump this down to 40 so it doesn't happen too often. And then going down to, actually hold on, vitality, regen, cooldown. This I want to bump down to 35. I want the cooldown to be taken down. It just makes a lot more realistic gameplay. Okay, then the pin kick out difficulty for the AI, I make it 45. Makes it a little bit easier. And the same goes for damage scaling, we'll put it at 45. And with that, those are the best settings to use for WWE 2K25